It's been a couple months since I've actually like talked to anybody on YouTube. I've just been kind of blindly posting content without reflecting on the process, without really talking about any of the process of the work that I'm doing. And I'm still in that, so I haven't really had the time to like sit down and think about, you know, how I want to position all the material I've created and what that even looks like. A couple months ago, I made a video about how I'm like revamping my approach to pre-production, and I think that's probably the most definitive part of how my workflow has changed. And I'm entering now third year going into the fourth year that I've been making films, and obviously now in a much greater capacity, where I'm being brought on to projects to kind of communicate and ideate from the ground up. You know, people will bring me into a project and say, okay, we need a video, can you help us like tell the entire story? So it's not just, you know, being hired for a gig and being asked to go on site to shoot. It's how do we think about the visual language of this piece and translate that to film to get the message across. And there's a lot of different layers of messages. So that's kind of the role that I've entered in. I think there's often the impulse that you just want to be a DP, or you just want to do lighting, or you just want to think of sound, and it can feel overwhelming to be in the position where you're like thinking about all of these things. And then also like having to write the script and having to write about the story and having people expect you to do all of these things, you know, effortlessly. It's a lot of pressure. And so I'll reference the video I made a couple months ago about pre-production, how my thoughts and you know, thinking around pre-production has completely changed how I'm just executing on my work. And at first I questioned why I kept getting the same stuff, like all my stuff looked the same, it felt the same. And I was also saying to myself, well, I don't need pre-production. Oftentimes I'm going on site and I'm shooting uncontrollable variables, and you know, I'll make the piece from what I get there. And while I had a vision going into the work that I was doing before, like last year and beyond, I didn't necessarily have a plan and an eye while I was on site for things that I definitely knew I wanted to think of. And in particular, themes. Our brains are designed to kind of always compartmentalize ideas. And so when you're approaching filmmaking, you know, making sure that things can connect the dots, you'll have a more intentional product. You know, it's not gonna be just interview, B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. It's gonna weave itself in and out and create so many more layers than if you were just sort of reacting to the footage that you got, and that's how you're creating your video. And what was really like a big change for me was subscribing to Milanote. And I'm not a sponsor for Milanote. I'm not taking money from Milanote. I'm not interested in like profiteering from selling anything about Milanote, but I do think that having this program has helped me structure my thinking in a way where even if I'm shooting something where it's like uncontrollable, right? Like I go to a lot of protests and I shoot a lot of things that nobody could predict. You sort of have an idea going ahead of, okay, I need things to emote anger, I need things to emote, tension, but like being able to fine tune even visuals ahead of time, soundscapes, things I'm looking for to capture, allows me to be at those places of you know, kind of impulse at the right moment. And that's really important when you're shooting in the field. All these new noises on my phone. As a sort of reflection point in this moment, this is how my work is kind of changing. Is really in pre-production, and bringing that production and bringing that planning to the field when I'm having to execute on extremely tight deadlines. Putting myself in these situations with a little bit of a roadmap has helped improve the outcome, and I do want to push that out there, and I know a lot of people's, you know, planning is all different across the board. For me, it's been really helpful to have a space where I can just visually like word vomit and visual vomit and theme vomit and just kind of throw it all together, structure it, and then go out and shoot. And it's fun. It's an easy program. So I think Milanote has been great for me in pre-production, but overall, like, it's the pre-production process, and it's having a space where I can do that kind of in a, you know, easy place. A quick note on things that I'm working on. I'm working on my first congressional campaign and my second congressional campaign, both at the same time. So in a couple weeks here, I'll be flying out to Dallas and working with a campaign that's working out in there. I do have the pleasure of working with a congressional campaign in my own district, Victoria Vera Singh. She's running in Virginia's 8th district, so check her out. Her campaign has officially launched, and she's primarying Don Beyer. So that's gonna be interesting. And other than that, working with an organization called the Sunrise Movement, doing climate work, that's continuing. I'm also going to be working with a couple other groups come January. And I just produced a smallish little film on substance abuse and substance intervention. So there's a lot of things that are happening, and that's just for my business outside of work. There's a lot that's still needing to be created, needing to be thought through, and so I just wanted to take a moment to kind of talk about that. So I wish you guys all well. I hope you're doing well. I hope you guys have a good holidays, and please take care. Thank you so much for watching. All right, bye.